What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Cyndi Lauper, and we're back with the final tune on her 1997 album Sisters of Avalon. Thank you again to Seb for sharing the material. And the last track is, amusingly, Brimstone and Fire, which I say amusingly because typically you hear that phrase in reverse, fire and brimstone. It's a phrase used in relation to, let's say, high-minded and or heavy-handed preaching, the idea of sin and vice leading to a depiction of hell that is more old school, more ancient, the idea of fire and brimstone as a source or environment of eternal suffering, and therefore it serves as a threat, the idea that if you don't behave correctly or believe what you're supposed to, you will end up in brimstone and fire. But it is weird. Again, I've almost always heard it the other way around, so I don't know if there is something to that, and I don't know if that's actually the context in which it'll be used here. It could just be a phrase that is used figuratively in relation to, say, interpersonal relations, or the idea of going through torment in an emotional sense up here on planet Earth, so I don't quite know what to expect, but let's give it a listen. This is Cyndi Lauper. The track is Brimstone and Fire, and it's the last tune on her 1997 album, Sisters of Avalon.
Brimstone and fire, brimstone and fire, brimstone and fire. I met a woman in the laundromat. She left her sock in my dryer. I met a woman in a yellow cap. It said brimstone and fire. Is this luck? With just a glance.
Bit of a reggae feel, a bit of funk.
Is this a sign from above or below? Brimstone and fire, brimstone and fire, brimstone and fire. And next week at the cinema, she put her hand on my shoulder. She almost kissed me walking home, and I didn't even scold her. Then I said, "Where's this leading?" with just a heavy sigh. I clicked with my face. She was following, and said the heart would never die. Brimstone and fire, brimstone and fire, and said the heart would never die. Brimstone and fire, brimstone and fire, brimstone and fire. And we have dinner every Saturday. I make spaghetti, she brings cake. I make
The
spaghetti
bass.
with tomato sauce because that's all I can make. When she lights the candles, I think here we go. But it's so pleasant after all. And I say very low, don't forget to light the fire. Brimstone and fire, brimstone and fire. And I said, don't forget to light the fire. Brimstone and fire, brimstone and fire, brimstone and
I feel like there's one of two things happening. There was was either like an old record being sampled because there was a bit of that surface noise crackle pop, or that was like a, what is it, diegetic sound where it's like the sound of the fireplace, which I think is maybe the essence of the Brimstone and Fire title, the idea of like lighting a fire, which of course can also be figurative for lighting a passion in you. And yeah, it was a much different narrative than I expected, and I didn't really know what to expect. But yeah, it sounds like she meets a woman, what was it, first at the laundromat, and then eventually they're in a cab together, and then they're at the cinema, and by the time they get to the cinema, the woman is, pawing at her a little bit, and they almost kiss on the way home. And then suddenly they're in this, I guess, relationship, and they're, cooking dinner, like, who is it? She's cooking the pasta, and the other woman's bringing the cake, and then something about the sauce, and that's all she knows how to make. So there's a bit of comedy to it, but it sounds like maybe it's the unexpected origin of a same-sex relationship. Now, again, I don't know if the narrator is supposed to be a woman, but because it's sung by Cyndi, and it feels like, if not autobiographical, certainly like she's telling the story from the point of view of a female character. So it sounds like maybe an unexpected romance and a lighting of a fire where she didn't see it coming. But sonically, it's incredible. Like, it's such a mixture. Like, again, we have some keys that made me think like a bit of a reggae rhythm, but it's also like a bit disco, a bit dance floor. It's got some funky sounds, so it has a bit of a funk feel. And then suddenly we have this like classical piano, or not piano, violin, mixed with what sounds sort of like angelic choral elements, which, maybe that's on a keyboard, maybe it wasn't an actual choir, maybe it is sampled from, again, like a classical record. And then, what was it, there was like one more element that I'm blanking, oh, the accordion. It comes in with what I think was an accordion, which gives it almost like, a European music feel. Like, it just had, or I suppose polka, but yes, it had a very, and I guess polka is technically like Czech music, right? Nevertheless, it had some different sonic influences, and it felt like this sonic sandwich where it's like these different flavors that stand out one after another along the way, all with a sort of danceable beat. So a fun tune, and one that is not fire and brimstone as I've understood the tune, but clearly a lot lighter and more passionate, fiery type of tune. So a really interesting one to end on. Looking forward to the next album. Once again, shout out to Seb for sharing. Do let me know what you think, and Luca and I will see you next time. Peace.